baby, we just got to see a lot of Assassin's Creed, the future of the franchise, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Nexus, the VR game coming to Meta platforms, and also their Codename Jade project, which is a very impressive mobile game. We're gonna talk about all of it. Now, full disclosure, I am recording this like a week and a half ahead of time. So by the time you're seeing this, the showcase already happened. And the reason I'm filming this so far in advance is because one, Ubisoft was very generous and let me see this presentation early. And two, the reason for that is because my wife right now is extremely pregnant and is going to have a baby any day now. So I wouldn't normally be able to cover this Ubisoft showcase, but because the people over at Ubisoft are G's, they hooked me up. So that's why this is here. So shout out to Ubisoft. By the way, I probably won't be too active in the comments section just because in all likelihood, by the time you're seeing this video, we have like a 1-day-old or a 2-day-old baby. So I will be AFK, but if you still like the video, subscribe, all of that, I would greatly appreciate it. So what exactly did we get to see? Did it live up to expectations? Does it sell somebody like me who's generally very skeptical of these games and especially of Ubisoft in recent years? Does it sell me on the vision of what these games are, on what the next generation of Assassin's Creed is going to be? Well, yes and no. To begin, let's go through the Nexus VR game. The cinematic trailer, I don't think, gives us much of anything to go off of. I'm not really interested in this because VR games, as communicated through cinematics, are just kind of stupid to me. It doesn't in any way correlate to the final experience. And they were surprisingly vague about actual gameplay footage, which was a little bit of a bummer. Now, in their defense, I do want to say it's very hard to communicate what a VR game is actually like by way of a two-dimensional video or screenshot. It just is very difficult to show what that game is actually going to play like and feel like when you're in the headset and actually experiencing it. However, I don't think that's an excuse to not show us much of anything. I get that it's hard to communicate this, but it doesn't mean that you just shouldn't. After all, it is really hard to communicate this stuff with VR headsets, but you saw in the Apple showcase that happened as of the recording of this video like a day or two ago, they still were able to communicate the vision. It is a little clunky how they did it, but you can still understand what this is going to be like to wear the headset, and they give you the first person view to show you so you know what you would be getting into. In my view, it's a bit of a bummer that we didn't see any sort of extended gameplay or anything to see what the game actually looks like while wearing the headset, but what are you gonna do? The vision for the game, though, seems really interesting. It appears to be a fully fleshed out Assassin's Creed game where you are able to free climb around small cities, completing various assassinations, leaps of faith, all while exploring the levels that they've crafted here. I have an Oculus, I mean Meta Quest 2, whatever the hell it's called, and I really like it. I think it's a very impressive headset, especially for the price point at which I got it, which was like $300. And I will tell you, I'm very interested in this, though I'm sure it's going to make me more motion sick than anything I've ever experienced before. The idea of being able to free climb and then do leaps of faith and like assassinations in VR is super cool, but it's man, this thing's gonna be a puke factory. They did say that they are working on special accessibility options such as grid patterns all throughout the world so you have a sense of reference and placement, and other things such as teleportation or warping for movement or for parkour will also be there as well, though I'm sure that makes the exploration a little less exciting. It's just kind of warping around a map, but still probably pretty cool. Now, maybe in the showcase, they will give us an exact launch date or something, but as of right now, there's nothing. They just basically say, hey, add it to your wish list on the Meta Store. And that's it. I have no idea when this is coming. I would assume later this year. That's what's been communicated previously through leaks and then also through investor conference calls and things, but time will tell. The next thing we saw was the mobile game being developed by Level Infinite. Now, if you don't know who Level Infinite are as developers, they are actually a company that is owned by Tencent, and they have partnered up with Ubisoft on the development of this new Assassin's Creed game in Unreal Engine. And I will be real, I don't like Tencent. I don't know of anybody who does. They fill their games with all sorts of heavy monetization that would make any other publisher blush, like EA, Take-Two, Ubisoft, or anybody else. It really is amazingly aggressive how densely packed all of their add-ons and all their microtransactions are. And to be very clear, upfront, I would expect this Assassin's Creed Codename Jade project to be no different. It seems to be a very impressive game, as I'll talk about in just a second, but I want to get this out front right at the beginning. this is almost certainly going to be a free-to-play game that is littered with microtransactions, okay? Let's just be clear. But what we did see was actually quite impressive. This is a looker of a game. It's wild that this thing is running on iOS and Android devices. And while there's occasionally things such as a lack of post-processing effects or shadow quality that hints at this being a mobile game, it honestly is crazy impressive that this thing is running in real time on a mobile cell phone device. It's wild. They were very cagey about native controller support. They did say that they are concerned about touchscreen controls coming off of controllers. I hope that you can just connect a controller to your phone and play that way. That would be far better, especially because in many ways this looks like an Assassin's Creed Origins or Odyssey level game graphically, with some of those dials turned down with shadow quality, reflection quality, that type of thing. And if it is the case that this is just an Assassin's Creed game on mobile with a bunch of paid cosmetics, I could see getting really into this playing on the go. I mean, honestly, we're probably going to see a bunch of like XP boosters and stuff like that. It's going to be really grindy, but if the game is good, I'm interested. And what I will say, I can't show anything to prove this for obvious reasons, but I've spoken to people who, let's just say, would know how this game is and how it plays, who are familiar with the alpha tests that they've been doing, and they're very impressed. So I am remaining cautiously optimistic with this, and it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It really seems like a big budget Assassin's Creed game on mobile devices, which is not going to be for everybody, but it's not really meant to be for everybody. It's meant to be, again, a super high production value Assassin's Creed game for mobile gamers who might not be playing on console or PC at all. But now let's talk about the big, fun, exciting game, Assassin's Creed Mirage. From the outset, they made it very clear that they wanted to show what this game is actually like. No huge pre-rendered cinematic trailers like we saw at the PlayStation showcase just a few weeks ago, but rather in-game footage captured running in real time to show you what the game's actually going to be like. And I love this. I wish more studios, publishers, developers did this with their game reveals and explanations. I would rather know what the game actually looks like than get my hopes up with like a really pretty cinematic. So this was awesome. I was actually surprised at how interested I became in the narrative just after a few brief moments. We also saw effectively two different states that the game can render within. Dedicated cutscenes where the fidelity raises in line with most other AAA developed games in recent memory, where once you go into cinematic mode, things get very, very high fidelity, and then also gameplay sequences where you could tell that the facial animations dropped in quality significantly, texture quality dropped a little bit too, but all that is to be expected and is very, very normal. Even games like Red Dead Redemption 2, which are phenomenal in their own right, have this same system of cinematic cutscene quality and gameplay cutscene quality. I bring this up just to prepare you that people are going to take screenshots of the gameplay cinematics where you're having a conversation with an NPC during gameplay, and they're going to say, see, look, it looks terrible. That's not fair. You need to look also at the cinematic cutscene quality when the game transitions into that mode. Setting that aside, we also saw extended looks at actual gameplay. Doubling down on what's already been established by the marketing team, this is being framed as a return to form for the franchise. They are returning to their roots and trying to take direct inspiration for level design, questing, and the like from the original Assassin's Creed games that so many of us fell in love with all those years ago. And I gotta be honest, I was pretty impressed with the gameplay that they showed, with one pretty significant exception, which I'll get to in just a second. They showed a simple mission called the Concubine, where we get to use social stealth, blending in with small groups of people, hiding inside of bushes and flowers, assassinating people, using blow darts to distract others, smoke bombs, and so much more. Furthermore, it seems like they did something really interesting with the walking speed. It seems like they lowered the walking speed, but increased the speed at which you can parkour around objects, which makes it feel like you're moving much more intentionally and covertly when you're just walking, but then when you go into escape mode or free climbing mode, it actually takes it up a notch. It's an interesting slight twist, but go back and watch the gameplay again and you'll see what I mean. It's just ever so slightly changed from what
Assassin's Creed Valhalla,
what they did, and even Odyssey and Origins. But the part that actually frustrated me was this bit right here, where we're propped up on a rope above the assassination target, but there's a handful of people on this upper ledge looking down. So if you were to assassinate the target right now, they would immediately have clear line of sight to attack you and potentially kill you, leading to a mission failure. So whoever's playing the game decides to target these people first, using some sort of weird ability where you can launch to different targets and take them out quickly. This actually reminded me of the fear takedown system in Batman Arkham Knight, if you remember that one, where you basically build up this sort of fear meter and then you can take out multiple targets in a row very quickly. But at least in that system, you're moving between targets. In this one, you just straight up teleport to different enemies that you've tagged. It's really, really weird, and I frankly don't like it. Maybe you don't mind this, but I'm really interested in AC Mirage because it's a return to form and they're letting the foot off of the supernatural pedal, where they're trying to go back to what they used to do, where the assassins were relatively grounded in reality, though certainly the Isu storyline was pretty fantastic in its own right. But the core gameplay was not supernaturally based. You know, where the gameplay itself was not based in anything supernatural. It was just assassins assassinating people or using technology from Leonardo da Vinci or something like that. But once we got into the realm of like Assassin's Creed Origins, certainly Odyssey, and definitely Valhalla, we saw a ton of different systems such as fire effects being applied to weapons, the ability to just leap across the map using some sort of power-up ability or call in 1,000 arrows from the sky. All of that stuff tore me out of any sense of immersion I had, and I was really excited that AC Mirage was going to shed many of those things. However, it seems like there's still some supernatural stuff, such as this teleport assassination ability, and I frankly wish this weren't here. Again, this is totally subjective. You might look at this and think that this looks super badass. I look at it and I think that it would immediately tear me out of any sense of immersion I was feeling. I would rather solve this problem using the assassin's tools that I have at my disposal. So in all likelihood, if this is still in the game when we get our hands on it, I will be intentionally avoiding this system because it seems to be directly in conflict with what they're trying to do with AC Mirage, which is return to form, get rid of the supernatural stuff. So this was really, really weird to see. But other than this, I thought everything they showed with Assassin's Creed Mirage was actually pretty badass. I was blown away at how good a lot of this looked. It's exactly what I was hoping for. And then this one little thing they showed was just really weird to me because it seemed to be directly opposite, antithetical to what they seemed to be trying to do with this. So it worries me that there's other stuff like this in the game or other supernatural abilities that are just going to be cringe, but you know what, time will tell. Maybe I'm overreacting, maybe I'm being unreasonable. I guess let me know in the comment section if I am being unreasonable. I will try to read the comments from the hospital room or from bed with a baby on my lap if I can, but yeah, I don't know what to make of this. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Other things they showed, such as the design of Baghdad, the very dense populations of people that will be within the city streets, their explanation of the more limited scope, all of it got me pretty excited for what we're gonna see come October 12th when the game releases. And I think the limited scope and the lower price is a brilliant move on their part because as we've seen with like Final Fantasy 16, which recently there was news that Square Enix is kind of freaking out because pre-order numbers are way lower than they were expecting it to be. People are showing that they are going to be much more careful with where they spend their gaming dollars in the next 6 to 12 months. And coming out with another $70 giga game that's 1,000 hours long is just not really what people are looking for unless you're Diablo or Tears of the Kingdom or some massive game like Armored Core or something like that. If you fit into this not like quadruple A niche, but rather into a triple A niche or a double A niche, I think you really need to consider dropping the price to be a little bit more competitive. And the fact they're doing that here is awesome. All in all, I'm really happy with everything I saw at this event with all of the gameplay that they showed. I'm interested. Games like Codename Jade are not going to be for everybody, and that's one thing you have to remember. Just because a mobile Assassin's Creed game doesn't appeal to you, there are tens of millions of people to whom this appeals directly. And that's what Ubisoft is trying to do. They're trying to diversify their Assassin's Creed portfolio so that they get a little scoop out of each individual bucket of ice cream. That's what they're hoping to do, instead of just trying to dig out of the same big carton of AAA action adventure open world RPGs like they did for the last 3 entries. There are certainly a couple things here and there that I'm a little iffy on, such as that supernatural weird teleportation assassination ability. But honestly, if you're not gonna play a game like AC Mirage because there's a mechanic like that, then this game was never going to be for you, and there's nothing they could have shown you to win you over. I'm iffy on this because I just would prefer to not have any of that supernatural stuff in gameplay, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. I mean, it's a video game, for Christ's sake. Like, none of this is very realistic, you know, none of it is. But let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section below, or over on Twitter, or my Discord server, which I'll have all of that linked below. And of course, if you want to rep some Luke Stevens merch, you can get this 16 times the detail t-shirt on lukestevenstv.com. We have a bunch of badass designs, including this most recent one, which I personally really like. Hype makes you stupid. Words to live by. But there's also a bunch of other ones, stickers that were drawn up by a very talented artist named Casey, of my pets, my big white cat Finley, Hermione the cat, who is extremely clumsy, my bearded dragon, who thinks he's a cat, the logo, 16 times the detail collection, all of this good stuff. And if you buy anything from the shop, I'll send you a little like custom recorded cameo thing on my phone, just for purchasing it, because I love you, and that's awesome. I can't promise I'll do it within like a day or two, just because I will have a baby that I'm juggling. But if you order something, I will eventually get that to you within a reasonable amount of time. But that's gonna do it for me. Again, let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section below. I love you. I will see you very, very soon. Wish me luck with this baby thing. Not freaking out at all. It's our second one, so it's not like that scary, but it's still scary. It's number 2. Like, freaking me out. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.